On behalf of the 1922 committee, Charles Walker and I, as returning officers of the election for the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party, can now declare the results of the second ballot. The total number of votes cast in today's ballot was 313. The total number of ballot papers rejected was again 0. The total number of votes given to each candidate in alphabetical order were as follows. Michael Gove, 41. Jeremy Hunt, 46. Sajid Javid, 33. Boris Johnson, 126. Dominic Raab, 30. Rory Stewart, 37. Therefore, the following candidates are now eligible to continue on to the next ballot on Wednesday, the 19th of June at 3 p.m. Michael Gove, Jeremy Hunt, Sajid Javid, Boris Johnson, and Rory Stewart. Thank you very much.
So there we are. Dominic Raab is out with 30 votes. Boris Johnson increased his number of votes, but not by that many. I'm going to move across to LBC's political editor, Theo Usherwood. Still a very full race.
It is. We've still got 5 candidates in the race. The only candidate to go out is Dominic Raab. He's the only candidate to support Boris Johnson's same position on Brexit, that we must leave the European Union on October the 31st. He only secured 30 votes. So he was not only last, but he also failed to secure the requisite number of votes,
which was 33. And Sajid Javid got
33.
Unbelievable.
He just made it into the next round. Rory Stewart making it in on 37, and then Michael Gove 41, Jeremy Hunt 46, and then Boris Johnson well ahead on 126. The next vote will be tomorrow. So, of course, if all things stay the same, Sajid Javid will go out tomorrow.
We could say, could we not, that given that Matt Hancock, who'd got 20 votes and withdrew and backed Boris, and given that Andrea Leadsom, who got 11 votes and withdrew and backed Boris, and yet, whilst Boris is way in the lead, and I get that, but he only increased his number of votes by about a dozen, didn't he, from the first round?
He did, and there will, of course, be speculation that his supporters may have tactically voted to keep Jeremy Hunt in second place. Of course, Jeremy Hunt is the person that the Boris Johnson team would like to come second. They see him as a low-energy candidate, somebody who doesn't have the pizzazz or oompah to take on Boris Johnson in the final two and connect with the Conservative Party membership. But importantly, Nigel, Rory Stewart, and this is not good news for Boris Johnson campaign, making it through on 37. So he was very vulnerable to see whether he would make it through to this next round. But he's well above,
and this does, in a sense, the fact that Stewart has gone, whatever you think of what Stewart's saying, he has been nothing less than entertaining. Yes. He certainly was on LBC here with me on Sunday. And I'm guessing,
and he engaged with you as well.
No, he did, absolutely. I mean, I thought, the position he took was fascinating. I don't agree with his Brexit policy, but his approach to this has been very interesting. And I'm guessing that there's a debate tonight that Boris Johnson says he will take part in.
Yes.
And I'm guessing the one candidate Boris will be ever so slightly scared of is Rory Stewart, who is pretty unpredictable.
Absolutely. For Boris Johnson's campaign, they want to deal with what they know about. They want to deal with the candidates they know. Jeremy Hunt is somebody who performs in the same way. He competes within certain boundaries and certain parameters. Rory Stewart has repeatedly shown that he doesn't adhere to the same rules. He's gone in on personal attacks on Boris. Some of them have been thinly veiled. Some of them have just been straight open in the way that he's been he's attacked Boris Johnson. The other person they're scared of course, and Boris Johnson's campaign would like to get rid of, pretty sharpish, is Michael Gove, the former Education Secretary. There's no love lost there between the Boris Johnson's camp and Michael Gove's camp, because of course last time he knifed him by splitting away from his campaign to run his own in 2016, and that meant that Boris Johnson had to withdraw. So as things stand, tonight's debate with the BBC, it would be more fascinating if it was a live studio audience, because the questions are going to come from members of the public in newsrooms around the country. They're going to be beamed in, so it doesn't quite have that live
and the energy,
unpredictable energy. All of that you've done LBC. You know what it's like when you're the caller's on the other end of a phone line, rather than somehow be somewhere else in the country having their question vetted.
No, absolutely. And I was fascinated this morning that the Telegraph, who are backing Boris in a huge way, ran a front page story that it seemed to me helped Rory Stewart immeasurably, because they were speculating as to whether he'd been an active officer for MI6. And far from this damaging Rory Stewart, it makes him look like James Bond, doesn't it?
It's the man of mystery. Rory Stewart, the man of mystery. But what's also fascinating, not necessarily fascinating, but the Telegraph was widely condemned for doing that, because, of course, Rory Stewart cannot, having signed the official...
Speak about it.
So he cannot, and he was asked about it directly yesterday in Lobby Hustings with Westminster journalists, and he said no, but he cannot directly speak about it. And also, it is not good form to try and out a former member of the Secret Intelligence Service. There's a feeling in Westminster that the Telegraph overstepped the mark.
I thought, well, gosh, this chap's really interesting, is all I can say, whether I agree with him or not. Now, just a recap for everybody. Michael Gove got 41 votes, he's through. Jeremy Hunt got 46 votes, he is through. Sajid Javid got 33 votes. That was just absolutely on the money, and he's through. Boris Johnson, 126. Rory Stewart got 37, and Dominic Raab at 30 is out. Let me ask you, tell me, are you happy with who is left in this race? And let's get some predictions. If we assume that Boris is going to go through, who do you think is going to be the number two? Now, this process now moves on, of course, and the next round of hustings is going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow
afternoon. We've got the next round of hustings tomorrow afternoon, Nigel. And because one has gone out now, This is going to go all the way to Thursday evening. So there had been some talk that if 2 or 3 candidates went tonight, because of course this is the last time that the 1922 committee has imposed a threshold on the number of votes, and that being 33, and that was because the field originally was so large, it was 13 at one stage. So this is the last threshold. So now, as a result of only Dominic Raab going out, we're going to have a vote tomorrow. Looking at the figures here, we're looking at Sajid Javid going out. The question then, and that's good news for Rory Stewart, because it gives him more time to try and get votes out of Michael Gove's camp and out of Jeremy Hunt's
So that would mean that one gets eliminated tomorrow.
One eliminated tomorrow.
And then we have another vote on Thursday morning, or lunchtime.
The ballot's Thursday morning, the results lunchtime, yeah.
And then we vote again on Thursday evening, by which time we'll be down to 2.
And then we'll be down to final 2. And then we have a 4-week campaign with the membership. And then we are told that there will be a new Conservative Prime Minister in post in the week beginning July the 22nd.
Looking at those numbers, Theo, do you have any idea who's going to be the one to fight against Boris Johnson?
My inclination at this stage is to say it will be Jeremy Hunt. And the reason I say that is because Boris Johnson now... Even I know the lead isn't perhaps as stretched as it could have been, but on 126 he does have the ability. It's not just about setting the momentum and setting the agenda as being the man in front to beat. It's also about having the ability, if he can marshal with Gavin Williamson, the former chief whip and one of his closest aides and advisors,
to lend some votes
and to manage the vote tactically. And of course, as I said before, Jeremy Hunt is the one they want in that final 2, because they think he is the most beatable.
Theo, thank you very much indeed. Well, you've heard the results. Just one candidate knocked out. That was Dominic Raab. There's still 5 runners and riders in the field. This week of Royal Ascot, we can use the racing analogy, I think. Are you happy with these results? What do you make of it? Boris going up, but not by that much. Rory Stewart going through, to the surprise of some. Kieran is a new caller from Richmond. Good evening, Kieran.
Good evening. How are you today?
I am well. I'm fascinated by this contest. It's going on. It's going to go right down to the wire.
I'm not very surprised because Boris Johnson has got very high votes, which is brilliant, and he's been around longer. There's 3 of us in the car right now, actually having a conversation about this.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll talk to all 3 of you. I don't mind.
Yeah. I've got a YouTuber here. His name is Saj Vlogs.
Right, okay, fine.
And he's voting for Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
And we've got an investor here as well.
If you turn the radio down,
Bob
Kieran, if you turn the radio off, Kieran, it would really help this conversation.
Turn the radio off.
So, are you a car full of Boris Johnson supporters?
Yes, we are. Boris Johnson all the way.
And is Boris going to deliver Brexit? Will we leave the European Union on the 31st of October?
It would be better for the younger community if we come out of Europe and.
Well, that's a matter of opinion, a political opinion.
Yeah.
But Kieran, let me ask you this question one more time.
Yeah.
But assuming Boris Johnson wins this, all right?
Yeah.
Do you think he will deliver Brexit on the 31st of October?
I reckon he can do it. I reckon he can do it. You know, he's more of a people's man. I believe he listens more. He's more of an eco-friendly guy. He rides a bike every day. You know, things like that.
Well, I tell you what, whether he rides a bike or goes by hot air balloon is not going to help deliver Brexit on the 31st of October, is it?
I reckon he could do it.
All right, no, Kieran, I hear you. I hear the confidence of your team, the Boris car, and thank you very much indeed for your call. Well, you see, now Lee from Cheshire says, Raab was the only real leaver. Do you know what, Lee? I think you're right. And we might just, later on in this show, have a look at what Boris has been saying about Brexit, because I think people like our previous caller might be quite concerned for one or two of the things he's saying. Rory worries me, Nigel. He's a total Remainer and don't think Brexit would get delivered under him, says Tom in Sevenoaks. Well, you know, maybe Rory gets through to the last two. I tell you what, it's not impossible. Whatever you think of his politics, he's the only one that's fought a really imaginative campaign. Tell me, how do you respond to these results, and who do you think gets through to the last two? Because that's the real speculation here. You're listening to The Nigel Farage Show here on LBC at 6:15, and time for the news headlines with Thomas Watts.
Boris Johnson has topped the ballot in the second round of voting in the Tory leadership contest. Dominic Raab has been eliminated from the race after failing to win the support of 33 Tory MPs. Mr Johnson, with Jeremy Hunt, Michael Gove, Sajid Javid and Rory Stewart, are all through to the next round. Tonight's weather: some heavy rain in England and Wales, drier in Scotland and Northern Ireland, a low of 5 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Jo-Louise Knight, and starting with South Western train services, they're severely disrupted and will be for the rest of this week because of the strike. They're running a reduced service on their entire network, with some routes being replaced by buses, but several areas not being served at all. There are delays of 20 minutes on Thameslink from St Pancras to St Albans after a freight train broke down earlier. Onto the roads, it's heavy on the clockwise M25 at the moment from the Cobham services towards an earlier broken down car before Chertsey at 11. An earlier accident also left delays clockwise towards Sevenoaks at 5. And the North Circular is really heavy this evening from Hanger Lane to Staples Corner. That's as people head to Wembley Stadium for a concert. It's also very, very slow around Wembley, Harleston and Neasden.
This is LBC.
Need to get your chocolate fix like now? Simply press the dashboard chocolate button to zap the chocolate of your choice right into your hand.
A dashboard chocolate button chocolate teleporter will never happen. But with a new BP Me Rewards card, getting more of the treats you love more often will. Search BP Me Rewards to find out more. BP, every day, brighter.
LBC.
Love the thrill of exploring? Fly British Airways and experience beyond the ordinary in Tobago. Waterfalls, rainforests, unspoilt beaches and turtles nesting. In Tobago, the undiscovered awaits around every corner. September holidays with flights and 7 nights hotel from $569 per person. Fly from Gatwick. Book by July 2nd at ba.com/Tobago. No one takes you there like British Airways. Booking fees and conditions may apply. Limited availability. ATOL protected.
At the AA, we're always trying to make your journey better. Our mechanics fix 8 out of 10 cars at the roadside, usually within 30 minutes of arriving. You could say we're simply the best. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong song. Join today from just £4.50 a month. Visit theaa.com. The AA, because anything can happen. New customers only. T's and C's apply.
You can complain free to your lender or the Financial Ombudsman about missold PPI. Alternatively, if you haven't got the time or the inclination, then just get the claims guys to manage the claims process for you. With the August 29th deadline approaching, time's at a premium anyway. So if you can't find your paperwork or you're not even sure you have PPI, it's definitely time to make a decision and start your PPI claim before it's too late. Text ANSWER to 66777. Text ANSWER to 66777 now.
The Claims Guys.
Let them run wild in their new school uniform from M&S. Now with 20% off in-store and online. Act fast and beat the stampede before the summer's in full swing. Terms and conditions apply. While stocks last. Offer ends 2nd of July.
When you buy the award-winning Alfa Romeo Giulia or the Stelvio Performance SUV, you can pretend it's for the 5-year warranty, the 3 years free servicing, 5 years roadside assistance, or the 5 years 0% APR. But the real reason is, you just want an Alfa Romeo. Start something beautiful. Visit alfaromeo.co.uk.
5 years or 75,000 miles warranty. Minimum 35% customer deposit. 60 months term. HP sales until 30th of June 2019. T's and C's apply. Alfa Romeo Financial Services.
This is LBC, the Nigel Farage Show. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC.
If you're just tuning in, we've had the results in the last few minutes of the second round of the Tory leadership contest. The contest to be the next Prime Minister of this country. Boris got 126 votes, Jeremy Hunt 46, Michael Gove 41, Rory Stewart 37, Sajid Javid 33. They all go through to the next round, and that vote will take place tomorrow. Dominic Raab is the one that has fallen out of the race. He got 30 votes, 33 was the required threshold. So Boris very clearly in the lead, but hey, who is going to come through the pack to challenge him? I know Jeremy Hunt's the favourite, but who's the horse coming up on the rails, not seen by anybody, whose votes increased from 19 in the first round to 37 in this round? It is Rory Stewart, and he is the choice of the Remainers, increasingly within the Conservative Party, it seems to me. He's also the anti-Boris choice. And whilst Boris may be very popular out in the country with Conservative members, he's not so popular in Parliament with MPs. But let me just bring this back to Brexit, if I can, for a moment. And I've been saying for 6-9 months here on LBC that there's a fundamental shift and change happening in this country, that people are beginning to identify more as Leavers or Remainers than they are as Conservatives or Labour. Some really fascinating polling published by YouGov overnight that really bears witness to this. Conservative members were asked, unbelievably, 46% of them would be happy to have me as their new leader. But I haven't even been in the Conservative Party for 27 years. But hey, I'm pro-Brexit, and it shows you how pro-Brexit they are. And that leads through. 61% of them said they want Brexit delivered even if it caused significant damage to the economy. 59% of them said they prioritise leaving the European Union to Northern Ireland staying part of the United Kingdom. 63% said they'd rather have Brexit than Scotland stay part of the United Kingdom. But here's the figure that really, you've got to think about this. 54% of Conservatives would accept the Conservative Party being destroyed if they got Brexit. They want Brexit more than they want their own party to continue to exist. The only thing that did scare them was Corbyn. And actually, they're prepared not to have Brexit if it means not getting Jeremy Corbyn. But when over half your party is happy to see your 200-year-old party literally disappear off the face of the map unless Brexit is realised, it makes you realise that the pressure on the next Prime Minister is going to be even greater than it was on Theresa May. Ollie is a new caller from Cardiff. Good evening, Ollie.
Hi, Nigel. How are you?
So, are you happy with these results?
I'm happy with the kind of decisive swing to Stewart. Not so happy that Boris is still in the race.
Go on. Why is that?
Well, actually, in fairness, I think he's far more responsible than a lot of people give him credit for. I did see a video today that spoke about leaving on the 31st with a sensible deal. And I think the fact that he didn't mention a no deal kind of shows the political prudence away from this no deal scenario. But the thing I wanted to ask was, the gentleman before said that it would be good for young people. And you said that's a matter of political opinion. I just wonder if you could clarify those comments.
Look, I think leaving the European Union is a liberation, not just in democratic terms, but in economic terms as well. I think getting away from the dead hand of the European single market allows us to reach out to a bigger world, become more competitive, actually give small people a chance against big companies. I'm really bullish, Ollie, for the UK economy. I'm particularly bullish for our economy versus the Eurozone. But the debate we're having tonight isn't about that. It's about who are the right people to go forward to be Prime Minister.
I know, I understand that completely, but I just think it's quite... I think it shows a degree of understanding on your behalf that it's not going to be all positive, in the sense that you can agree that it's the fact that it's going to be negative for young people shows that.
I didn't say no, Ollie. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be the best thing. I think it's going to be the best thing. I think it's been the best thing that's ever happened to young people, all right? But that's not what we're debating right now.
Can you tell me exactly why?
Because we'll be freer, richer, and we'll reach out to a bigger, wider world. Because we don't govern. Because we don't govern our own country. Ollie, when we have a Brexit debate, ring me back. Ring me back when we have a Brexit debate. Not now. Your messages flooding in. Stop all this claptrap. Boris wins. Period. The cons don't give two hoots about Brexit. Simples. Well, if the Tory party doesn't give a hoot about Brexit, I think that polling we've seen overnight shows you they will be electorally obliterated. It'll be Hunt or Rory who comes in number 2. Well, he says, Chris says, he doesn't like Rory particularly because of his personal attacks, which he thinks are disgusting. And Rory has had a real go at Boris. Interestingly, Michael Gove started off the campaign having a real go at Boris. Now he's being nice about him. That couldn't possibly be, could it? Because he thinks Boris will win and he wants a job in the cabinet. No. I mustn't be that cynical. I really, really mustn't. I'm voting for Rory Stewart ahead of the Brexiteers. Well, Jim, I sense if Rory does come number 2, and this goes out to the Tory party members, he will get a vote. But I still don't see. I just don't see how Boris can possibly be beaten. Why are you showing your admiration for Rory Stewart? If he have his way, we'll never leave. Leslie, I'm not showing my admiration for his politics. What I'm saying is the others, well, Boris has been in hiding and the rest are dull as ditch water. All right? At least Rory Stewart has been out there and has got a story. And I think, the front page of the Telegraph saying he could have been in MI6 adds to that mystery. But I agree with you, Leslie. We won't get Brexit with Rory Stewart. But the question really is going to be, before too long, maybe not tonight, but before too long, will we get Brexit with Boris Johnson? That's going to be a very interesting conversation. John is a new caller from Lancaster. Hi, John.
Hello.
So, what do you make of it?
Well, my main concern and interest is that this shows what the Conservative Party is like. I mean, I am a Conservative Party member and have a vote.
Yes.
And I'm very concerned that the way this is going, in that we have 4 essentially Remainers, whichever way you look at it, 1 Leaver of sorts, and the only person who had any sort of radical Conservative ideas seems to be the one who's been dropped. And this seems to me to give a very poor impression of what the parliamentary party is like compared with Tory members in general, at least in my experience.
John, how long have you been a member of the Conservative Party?
I've been on and off, actually. Total of about 3 to 4 years in total.
Okay.
I've occasionally fallen out with them.
Okay. And can I ask you, John, as a paid-up Conservative Party member and a Leaver, what matters more to you, Brexit or the well-being of the Conservative Party?
Oh, Brexit plus Brexit and the well-being of the country, not just the well-being of the Conservative Party.
Okay, so, yeah, you see, again, you are part of that 54%, who basically say it's Brexit or bust, because if you don't get Brexit, to hell with the Conservative Party. It's really, really interesting.
Well, Brexit first, but you also need some sort of radicalisation and change, rather than just, what I would call Ed Miliband-type policies and everything else.
But if Boris is seriously, as leader, John, going to go back to Brussels to try and renegotiate the backstop, it's difficult to see that's very different to Theresa May, really, isn't it?
Well, I don't think there's any negotiation going to take place. This is, the decision will be taken either that we don't go, from in this country or the European Union and say, get lost.
Wouldn't that be nice? John, thank you for your call. I'm going down to Kent to New Romney to speak to Julie, a new caller. Good evening, Julie.
Hello, Nigel.
Hi
Hello.
there. Hi there.
Now,
yeah.
I've got so much to say.
Right, go on then.
I'm a Tory member.
Right.
For how long? I joined enough time so that I could vote for the new leader. I was a naughty kipper. I left. I'm a Tory member. I want to vote for the new leader. Boris is not the man. Boris cannot be trusted. If he gets in, and he probably will, he's going to split the Tory and the Brexit Party vote, and Corbyn will get in.
So, Julie,
there's the problem.
So, Julie,
That's the big problem.
you've paid your membership subs. Who are you going to vote for?
Do you know, this is naughty. I'm going to vote for Rory Stewart.
What? How can you do that, Julie?
Hang on, because I want Brexit, and the only party that's going to give us Brexit is the Brexit Party.
Right, I get it. So you put a Remainer in charge of the Tories, and
Yes,
that's interesting. Interesting.
Boris, everyone thinks Boris is going to get us out, and he's not. He's going to bottle it at the last
So
minute.
you're one of the 50. You're one of the 54%, Julie, who would accept the Tory party being destroyed in order to get Brexit. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they've destroyed themselves, haven't they? They offered us a referendum.
Yeah.
They said, "What do you want? What do you want to do?" I never asked for it. They said to me, "What do you want to do?" So I told them, and now they're not doing it. So what am I supposed to do now then? So I'm going to vote tactically. I think Rory Stewart will make it to the last two.
Do you know what, Julie? I'm beginning to think that as well.
Yeah, I think he will. It'll be him and Boris. But I think that the membership will vote for Boris because they're not thinking straight. Boris won't do it. He won't give us Brexit.
Well, it's the
He's
same,
gonna split
Julie.
your vote.
It's the same Boris, isn't it? Who twice voted against Mrs May's treaty with Monsieur Barnier, and on the third time of asking, he then voted for it. So
He just wants to be in number 10. Him and his girlfriend in number 10. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about the people.
Well,
he doesn't care about
do you know,
Brexit.
Julie,
he
I was-
never was a leaver.
Julie, I was told years ago that there are two types of people in politics. Those who want to do something and those who want to be something. Those who have got radical ideas and want change, and those who want position and rank. And I think Boris has wanted to be PM since he was about 15. Julie, fascinating phone call. Steph says the only reason Boris is so far ahead is MPs think he's going to save their jobs. What a cynical bunch they must be. You're listening to The Nigel Farage Show here on LBC at 6:30 in time for the news with Thomas Watts.
Dominic Raab has been eliminated from the Tory leadership contest after the second round of voting by Conservative MPs. He fell 3 votes short of the 33 required to progress in the race to become Prime Minister. Boris Johnson topped the poll and goes through with Jeremy Hunt, Michael Gove, Sajid Javid and Rory Stewart. Tory MPs will vote again tomorrow and, if necessary, on Thursday until the field is narrowed down to 2. England have eased to victory against Afghanistan in the Cricket World Cup, breaking the record for the number of sixes in a one-day international. The 150-run win puts England at the top of the tournament table, ahead of Australia. LBC weather. Rain across England and Wales, heaviest in the south, east and northwest, staying dry in Scotland and Northern Ireland with a low of 5 degrees.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Weekday mornings from 7. LBC.
The woman who was, until fairly recently, in the running to be the leader of the Conservative Party, former leader of the House of Commons, Conservative MP for South Northamptonshire. We're going to hear today who you're going to be backing. Andrea Leadsom, who is it?
I'm going to be backing Boris Johnson for the next Prime Minister. He is the best place to get us out of the EU. I do believe he is an election winner. I think he's someone who can bring the country and the party back together.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast.
With Xero, get your business digital ready with Xero accounting software.
LBC.
If you're a frequent traveller in premium, business and first class, is your travel agent charging you too much? Switching to Bright Sun Travel's 24/7 tailor-made travel services means you could pay less on flights and hotels and enjoy free benefits like early and late checkout, room upgrades and hotel credits. Conditions apply. Visit brightsun.co.uk. Atoll protected.
Attention, all minicab drivers in London. You could be paying too much for your insurance. If you're licensed by the PCO and working in and around the London area, you must visit cubitminicabinsurance.co.uk. With us, you could enjoy our special schemes and preferential rates for London private hire drivers. Visit cubitminicabinsurance.co.uk and see how much you could save. cubitminicabinsurance.co.uk.
Need to get your chocolate fix like now? Simply press the dashboard chocolate button to zap the chocolate of your choice right into your hand.
A dashboard chocolate button chocolate teleporter will never happen. But with a new BP Me Rewards card, getting more of the treats you love more often will. Search BP Me Rewards to find out more. BP, every day, brighter.
Do you want to give your kids a head start? Think about it. Are you all set up to help with uni fees or a house deposit? No? Then it's time to Wealthify. The sooner you start a junior ISA with Wealthify, the more you can build them a tax-free nest egg. Just invest a lump sum or pay in monthly and let Wealthify do the rest. Start a junior ISA today. For more information, download the app or visit wealthify.com. With investing, capital is at risk and you could get back less than you put in.
The Seven Dwarfs were in a bit of a pickle. With the mines closing down, their finances were somewhat fickle. They looked to downsize their home fast, so Snow White could make her debts a thing of the past.
Boys, the cottage is looking well rough.
So they spoke to the friendly team at Property Rescue, who buy properties in any condition and can offer a guaranteed sale in as little as 2 days, hassle-free. Fast forward to living happily ever after. Visit propertyrescue.co.uk. Property Rescue. Fast forward to sold.
At the AA, we're always trying to make your journey better. Our mechanics fix 8 out of 10 cars at the roadside, usually within 30 minutes of arriving. You could say we're simply the best. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong song. Join today from just £4.50 a month. Visit theaa.com. The AA, because anything can happen. New customers only. T's and C's apply.
Leading Britain's conversation. The Nigel Farage Show. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC.
Ever since 1965, the favourite has never won a Tory leadership contest. However, this time it's appeared to all of us that Boris is just so far ahead that nobody was even going to scratch him. And I know I keep talking about Rory Stewart and it's driving some of you bonkers, but some of the responses I'm getting back are really, really interesting. I mean, let's try this one. Nigel, it's very unfair of you to keep saying Rory won't deliver Brexit, as he says he absolutely will. We as Leavers will definitely vote for him. He'll make a far superior leader compared to Boris, who will fail and fall within months, says Sheila. So Sheila, a Leaver, believes Rory when he says we're going to leave the European Union. Well, Sheila, we're going to, but it's going to be on... Mrs May's terms. And you've got to ask yourself, is that really Brexit? I don't think it is. I think Rory Stewart could get through to the last two because he said he would work with Nigel, and that's a positive to Tories. But will he keep his word, asks May from Somerset. So there is some pro-Rory stuff coming in, and it's coming in from people who, interestingly, are Leavers. So he clearly has been pretty convincing to some people, and different, and that's the point, really, isn't it? Let's go to Derry in Northern Ireland and speak to Andrew. Good evening, Andrew.
Nigel, how the devil are you?
I am well, thank you. So what do you make of it?
Well, it's interesting because I think that this whole conversation is moot, for want of a better word. So I don't really think it matters who becomes the leader of the Conservative Party, because I don't think any of them are going to be able to deliver Brexit. And I'll tell you the reason why. I think there's two outcomes out of this. And I think one is going to be a people's vote, one is going to be a general election. And I say
not another one.
I don't believe in that, Nigel. I'm just saying this is how I think it's going to play out. Boris will get to a stage where he can't put Theresa May's deal through because no one wants it. He won't be allowed to do no deal because Parliament won't allow it. You can't prorogue Parliament. You can't subvert democracy to exert the will of democracy, if you know what I mean. You can't do that. It's not going to happen. So it leaves him in a position where he thinks, oh, well, I'll put it to the people, and that way he can absolve himself of any responsibility.
So what happens, Andrew? If there's a second referendum and we vote to leave again, which we would, what happens then? Nothing, because
I think it has to be. In that case, it has to be no deal. I think that's the option that has to be on the table. But I think what this means, and one thing of the conclusion of this is, whichever outcome, if that happens and we don't deliver Brexit, it will be the death of the Conservative Party. Whether it's a second referendum, whether it's general election, I think, and so here we go, here's the $64 million statement now, I think it could lead to the Brexit Party being the major party in this country. That's what will happen, Nigel.
Well, Andrew, I don't know what the future is any more than you do, but I'll tell you something that really interested me. Have a listen with me. This is a clip of Boris Johnson talking to some Conservative Party members on Saturday about his Brexit strategy. Listen carefully.
That's got the provisions on the Irish border. We should be negotiating them in the implementation period after we've left on October the 31st. That's the logical thing to do. That's what Parliament instinctively understands, and that's what we are going to do. To make our friends and partners understand our seriousness and our determination to get that deal right, what do we have to do? We have to prepare to come out on different terms. We have to prepare for a WTO outcome, and we can.
I mean, he's all over the place, isn't he? On the one hand, he's saying we must prepare for WTO, but we mustn't do it. And then he's saying we should leave, and during a 2-year implementation period, then negotiate the backstop. I mean, Andrew, he's all over the shop, isn't he?
He's crazy. There's a famous quote from Barry Norman back in the day about an actor, but I think it applies to Boris here, that when Boris speaks, the words dribble down his chin. That's exactly the way he comes across. He's a blithering fool, to be honest, on there. And this is one of the things, when you talk about no deal, what that will inevitably lead, and as someone who speaks from living in Derry, this will lead to United Ireland and an independent Scotland, both of which I'm actually for. But don't hold that against me.
Well,
if you I take on that one, but that's where it's going to end.
I don't think there are any certainties to either of those things, Andrew.
No, I agree.
But I mean, who knows?
That's the groundswell of feeling over here. I can see. I think as an English person living in Northern Ireland, Nigel, it's really interesting to look at it as kind of an outsider.
But your point that if Boris just can't, if Boris wins and can't cope with this, he'll either call a second referendum or a general election. You may well be right, for all I know. Andrew, thank you very much indeed for your call. I get a message here from Chris, who wore a "Make Teesside Great Again" cap to a meeting I did the other day. He says Rory is peddling a false narrative. Are we dissolving Parliament to deliver Brexit? If the new PM does nothing, we leave on the 31st of October. It's the law. Well, Oliver Letwin was suggesting last week that they'd run out of procedures by which they could stop Brexit if the Prime Minister insisted on keeping the law in place, or even, effectively prorogued Parliament, dissolved Parliament with the consent of the Queen. It just seems to me, I could be completely wrong, and no doubt constitutionalists will text and tweet and tell me that I am wrong, but it seems to me that somehow Parliament, MPs and that Burko chap would find some way of unravelling it. That is what I believe. Sticking with Boris in the lead, Raab out, the other four still in the race. Are you happy with this result, and who do you think the two that are going to go through on Thursday night are? Michael is a new caller from Canterbury in Kent. Good evening, Michael.
Good evening, Nigel. Long-time fan, first-time caller. I hope you're well.
Welcome. Well, I'm well. I'm fascinated by this.
They say that in Chinese it's a curse to tell someone, may you live in interesting times. But we are living in very interesting times.
Interesting time. I mean, could it be, Michael, that Rory Stewart gets through and it's a Stewart v Johnson runoff?
I think the Remainers will all pile behind Stewart.
So do I.
But when that goes to the members, I've no doubt how that will come out. But however, I think that for the Brexit Party, and you'll know about this, you're probably hoping that Remainer wins, because then that will mean that the Brexit Party will have a massive surge.
No, Michael. I'm hoping that we get a Prime Minister with guts and backbone, and that we leave the European Union on the 31st of October in a form that is recognisable to the 17.4 million that voted for it. That is what I want.
I get the impression from your recent past is that you don't really want to have to get involved in this kind of thing.
I don't. I said earlier, there are two types of people in politics. The only reason I left business to get involved in politics is because I felt we were going in the wrong direction with the European Union. I'm not in this for a career. I'm not in this for rank or position. I'm in this because I want us to be free and independent. And by the way, I want the rest of Europe to be like that too. So, Michael, that's the truth of it. And I've said over the last couple of years, when I stepped back from it, I said I would only get back involved if they made a complete Horlicks of it, which is what they've done.
One other thing I wanted to comment on, if it's okay, it just might take a couple of seconds.
Sure.
I keep hearing from everyone how divisive Brexit has been, and it's true on the one hand that Brexit has been divisive, but on the other hand it's been quite uniting because I used to phone in and speak to our friend from Scotland often, but he's not on the air at the moment. There were huge figures from the left and big figures from the right united on their position, either for leave or for remain. So a realignment, I think, must be necessary in some way, in some form, in some point of the future.
Yes, I agree with that. I think this issue splits both parties in all sorts of extraordinary ways, and I think you're absolutely right. British politics needs to realign. Michael, thank you for your call. Anthony is a new caller from Lake Constance in Germany. Good evening, Anthony.
Good evening, Nigel. It is such a pleasure speaking with you. Truly, I am a huge, huge fan, and it is an honor to be on your show.
Now, it's not a very German accent, Anthony, is it?
No, it is not. I'm actually from New Jersey, but I'm calling you because I listen to your show every night.
Fantastic.
I have to strongly disagree with one of your previous callers, Andrew, who said that it doesn't really matter who goes into Downing Street, because I think that the UK is at a crossroad, and a very important one. And I think everyone needs to pause and reflect on the future of this country, this great country, and I think we need to put great back into Great Britain. But I really believe that Boris Johnson is the only one to really be a leader. I think the UK, I'm sad to say, hasn't had a leader since Theresa May moved in. And it's time that the UK is back on the world stage with a leader that can actually lead the country into the 21st century. And so I think Boris is the only one.
Well, Anthony, I think in terms of personality and in terms of being recognised on the world stage, yeah, Boris ticks those boxes. No question about that. Absolutely no question about that. The question is, with a Conservative Party membership that is now so mutinous that over half of them are happy to see the party destroyed. They just want to get Brexit. And the problem is, Anthony, he can have a load of charisma, Donald Trump can like him, etc., but can he deliver Brexit? Has he got the courage to do it?
And I think he does. And I think that you and your party are now standing up as a significant force in the country to be reckoned with. I think he would be foolish to ignore that. I think you have invited the next leader to work with you to deliver Brexit. I think any leader, whether it's Boris or any of the other candidates, to use you as a force to deliver Brexit, I think that would be powerful.
Anthony, I've said that we've got some very successful businessmen and businesswomen, and I'd like them to help with organising new trade deals, with negotiating with the EU, preparing us to leave on WTO terms. I wrote to the Prime Minister, delivered it. Richard Tice, the party chairman, and I hand-delivered this to Number 10 a couple of weeks ago. We haven't heard a dicky bird so far. Anthony, thank you for your thoughts. You're listening to The Nigel Farage Show here on LBC at 6:46, and time for the news headlines with Thomas Watts.
Dominic Raab has been knocked out of the Tory leadership contest after the second round of voting by Conservative MPs. Boris Johnson topped the poll. He goes through with Jeremy Hunt, Michael Gove, Sajid Javid and Rory Stewart. MPs will vote again tomorrow and, if necessary, on Thursday until the field is narrowed to 2. Some heavy rain in England and Wales tonight, drier in Scotland and Northern Ireland, a low of 5 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm J-Louise Knight, and still severe disruptions for South Western Railway services this evening. It's due to the strike action which is ongoing for the rest of this week. There's a severely reduced service on the entire network, with some routes being replaced by buses, several areas not being served at all. Onto the roads, the clockwise M25 in Surrey is slow from the Cobham services to Wisley at 10 after a car broke down earlier. A lorry's broken down heading north on the North Circular just before the Redbridge flyover. There are huge delays all the way back to the Beckton roundabout. Elsewhere on the all secular. It's slow between Staples Corner and Hanger Lane. That's as people head to Wembley Stadium for a concert. And there are queues on the A1 Watford Way heading out of town from Five Ways Corner to Mill Hill Circus after an accident earlier.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Ian Dale.
Seconds out, round 3. The clear winners in round 2, Boris Johnson and Rory Stewart. Govan Hunt stalls, Sajid clings on. Full analysis coming up.
Ian Dale on LBC.
Psst! Did you know that Pimlico Plumbers have an utterly fabulous 24-hour service? For plumbing, heating, drains, roofing, electrics, appliances, carpentry and building? Whatever your predicament, Pimlico Plumbers can send a friendly face to your door within the hour. Shh! And just between us, their work even comes with a 12-month guarantee. They aren't just any old tradesmen, they're Pimlico Plumbers, and they're always available on 0207 928 8888 or at pimlicoplumbers.com.
So, your accountant does your audit for you, looks at your accounts, calculates your tax, stuff like that, but would you benefit from long-term advice, an expert to look at your business model and help your business grow? And most importantly, someone to look after you, the owner. At Barnes Rofe, our partners get to know their clients and want to become part of their team. Is it time to see what we can do for you? Arrange your free consultation at barnesrofe.com. Barnes Rofe. Clever accountants for business.
Meg, the driving instructor, is definitely almost 90% sure she's filing her VAT right. Kinda. But she'd be more confident with QuickBooks. QuickBooks is perfect for making tax digital and is HMRC recognised. Get up to 50% off your first 6 months. And maybe put it towards a new clutch.
Making tax digital means monthly VAT returns are changing too. Are you ready for the 7th of July? Visit quickbooks.co.uk for details. QuickBooks, backing you.
At Lidl, we're big on quality, big on the big shop, big on prime cuts and donuts, big on fully loaded trolleys, cupboards and nachos, big on big names and family favourites, big on fishing for the future, free-range farming and definitely big on British. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes NI.
5 stars, would definitely recommend. It's a quality car seat, strong, sturdy and 100% safe. Perfect for our little lad. Not that I'd know. Never even owned a car seat. Don't have a car, don't have kids, don't have a conscience. I don't care if you end up with an unsafe product. Not when I'm getting paid to write fake reviews.
A fake review could cost you more than you think. A Which membership helps you avoid these lies. Search Which for impartial product reviews. Which, keep questioning.
The great British weather. One day you're cozying in with the family, the next you're chilling out in the garden. But whatever you're doing, Trusted Trader are always on hand to help. TrustedTrader.com have lots of really lovely tradespeople who are vetted, reviewed and reliable, unlike the weather. So for roofers who stop the rain coming in, gardeners for when the sun comes out, and other professionals in their trade, simply visit
Have you ever bought an investment sold by Barclays, Halifax, Lloyds, Santander or any other bank or financial advisor? Investments like stocks and shares ISAs, investment bonds and certain types of pension can be risky. If you lost money with one of these investments, you could be owed thousands of pounds in compensation. Even if you no longer have the investment or the paperwork, here at Goodwin Barrett we can still help. To start your free assessment with Goodwin Barrett, text GOOD to 60777. That's GOOD to 60777.
The Nigel Farage Show on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Well, there's no shortage of opinions here, I can tell you that. Tom on Twitter says to me, I think the man of mystery, young Rory, might just shock everyone. Alan on Facebook says, I reckon the Conservatives are stitching Boris up so that he will ultimately fail. Well, he's certainly going to have a tough job on his hands. And Peter makes me laugh on Facebook. He says, Theresa May is still reading your letter, Nigel. She keeps reading the bit at the top which says, Dear Prime Minister. Lol, very good. I like that. Ian from the New Forest says, if Stewart becomes Tory leader, it's the end of the Conservatives. He's like a Liberal Democrat. Well, I have to say, I think Rory will make a very good leader of the Liberal Democrats. I have no doubt about that. Robert is calling from Glasgow. Good evening, Robert.
Good evening, Nigel. How are you doing?
Doing well. I've been saying now for a few days that Rory Stewart is the one who's put some energy and drive into this, and I'm beginning to think he might make the last two.
He may well do. He is intelligent, articulate, inventive, quirky, eccentric, an old Etonian, has a fabulous backstory, and he's completely wrong. So I don't think he is the right person to lead the Conservative Party. Basically, he is, I think, the kind of Trojan horse candidate.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a world-class appeaser. He is dressing up Mrs. May's deal as though if you listen to this old Etonian and drink this Horlicks, it will be all right in the morning. And basically, it won't.
No, I agree with that. And yet, Robert, we just heard a few minutes ago a clip of Boris Johnson saying that he would negotiate the backstop after we'd left and during the transition period. So if that was the case, then Rory and Boris would be on the same ticket almost, wouldn't they?
I think there's something
incredible.
a little bit... I think the way this is building up, there's something a little bit Churchillian about Boris. He's very flawed. Churchill was very flawed. His flaws are circumstantial, but I think if you put the man in the right circumstances, as Churchill was, he will absolutely flourish.
Does he have the courage of Churchill?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's. I think to use common parlance, I think he actually has got the balls to do it. So,
well,
and I would personally like to see that happen. If it ends up with Rory Stewart, basically you're just going to get Mrs. May dressed up as an old Etonian. That's all that's happening.
Robert, I sincerely hope you're right about Boris, and I mean that. I hope if he was to win this, and as you say, have the balls to do it and see this through, even to be brave enough to face down the House of Commons and to fight an election, and to say we are leaving on the 31st of October on WTO terms. I mean, if he did that, Robert, I would be thrilled to see it. I don't know. I doubt it. Robert, thank you very much indeed for your call. Patrick says, Brexit is the most ridiculous political decision ever. It should be cancelled. Revoke Article 50 and move on. Patrick, why not just cancel all elections? I tell you what, Patrick, just pick a few mates and they can run the country for the next 30 years. You can't just revoke Article 50. I mean, that would be an outrage. James is calling from Barnes and is a regular caller. Good evening, James.
Good evening, Nigel. I mean, honestly, Boris, like Churchill, I don't think Nicholas Soames would agree with that interpretation of Boris. Nigel, I think this is your moment, and you know I'm a Remainer, but I actually really, and I'm not doing this to be polite, I think that Rory Stewart, who understands the Europeans much more than Boris, you know what they think, you know how they work, and he reached out to you in your conversation that you had with him the other day, and he was being honest and sincere, and I think that you helping Rory Stewart to negotiate with the Europeans is the only way that we will get a Brexit that will help the country, but will also appeal to the people that say that Rory Stewart is really a Remainer and wants a Theresa May deal. I think he knows that he needs somebody like you to work with him to actually do something that is going to be proper for the future. Boris does what Boris wants. He will be told to come back to London with nothing, and, who knows what Boris will do. Boris is a danger. Rory Stewart, with somebody like you, who knows and understands Europe and has fought for this all his life, this is your moment. I really mean that. I think
well, James, what I couldn't accept is 39 billion. What I couldn't accept is an extended transition period. What I couldn't accept is potentially being tied into the customs union. But I thought it was interesting that Rory was the only one of the candidates who even wanted to talk to me. The rest, Sajid Javid, the rest, they're trying to pretend I don't even exist.
Well, exactly. So he is conciliatory and he's not, whereas Theresa May didn't talk to anyone until she was forced to. Before it's even started, he knows that you, with the backing of what you've just done in the European elections, you are important because people believe in you and you can take people with you. And I firmly believe that Rory Stewart with your help, can maybe get a deal that is got some merit.
But he doesn't really believe in Brexit, James. That's the problem.
No, I know, but he does. But he doesn't. But he knows he's got to deliver it.
All right. No. Listen, it's a very interesting point, James. It's an interesting point. I'm going to move on and take one more caller before we close. Jordan is calling from Barnsley. Good evening, Jordan.
Good evening, Nigel. Good to speak to you again.
Good to speak to you. So, what do you make of that vote?
To be honest with you, Nigel, I think the most important statement we can make here is, does it really matter? I think whoever comes into power isn't going to be able to achieve anything. If Boris gets into power, is he going to be able to achieve Brexit like he says he's going to be able to? Probably not. And if Rory gets in, is he going to be able to perhaps try and stop Brexit with what he seemingly seems to be saying? Probably not. So what's the point? It doesn't matter who gets in.
You've given up, Jordan. You're sounding very depressed about life.
It's just terrible. I mean, you hear what they're saying in the debates, and you just think we're just going to get another kind of Theresa May in power who does absolutely nothing. And
well, I have to say,
what's the point in it?
I have to say, Jordan, with Dominic Raab out of the race, and with those clips we heard from Boris at the weekend suggesting he might negotiate the backstop during the transition period, it is easy to think you're right, and maybe we are going to finish up with a Prime Minister inheriting Mrs May's position, continuing with Mrs May's position. The difference is, Jordan, this time the Tory party won't put up with it, will it?
Well, exactly. Hopefully this time they'll, I really, really hope they get things sorted. But over the past few years, everything that the Conservative Party have done, I'm losing hope, like you say, Nigel.
No, I get it, Jordan, and I hear it in your voice. Thank you. Well, look, folks, whoever wins this, that polling overnight showing you that 54% of Conservatives are prepared to see their party destroyed. Just getting Brexit is what mattered. This is, for whoever wins this, it's Brexit or bust for the Tory party. That's my prediction. You've been listening to the Nigel Farage Show here on LBC. I'll be back tomorrow evening when at 6 o'clock we'll get some more results of the next round of voting in the Conservative contest. At 10 tonight it's Tom Swarbrick, but up next it's Ian Dale.
Nigel, thank you very much. Well, it won't surprise anyone to know that we are going to concentrate for much of the programme tonight on the Tory leadership contest. We've had the second round, as Nigel says, round 3 will take place tomorrow. I breathed a certain sigh of relief tonight because we've got Jeremy Hunt lined up at 8 o'clock tomorrow night and Michael Gove at 9. Assuming that Sajid Javid doesn't drop out by 8 o'clock tonight, which he won't do because otherwise then he'll miss out taking part in the televised debate, we will have both of those contenders on the show tomorrow night. But we will